Today we're diving headfirst into the golden age of comics. And no, I'm not talking about 1937 to 1950. I'm talking about the era of gold. That's right, booster gold. And trust me, folks, we're going to make time travel look as easy as resetting your microwave clock after a power outage. Yeah. So hop into your time spheres, nerdlings, because we're going to rewind, fast forward, and probably pause on a few moments in the epic life of everyone's favorite glory seeking hero. Time to clock in and punch out some history on Booster Gold. Be vigilant day and night.
Chase your tail light. I'll be under your skin, letting you go for a while. Then I'm taking you in. Your face like diamonds, a glimmer and punch. Shiny predator with a golden gun. Space age girl machine. 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 Space age girl machine.
What is up, nerdlings, and welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Danny Sanssouci, licensed cosmetologist and registered super nerd, and this show right here is Comics and Cosmetics, where I spill all the nerdy tea about our favorite costume crusaders while doing my makeup at the same time, while you nerds watch. If you're new, welcome. Make sure you smash that like button, zap the subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you get notified whenever I'm back with another one of these wild videos. If you would like to support the channel and follow us on all the socials, please check out the description below. We've got several different options. We've even got a really sweet merch store. We've got like 34 designs up on the merch store. We even have original artwork painted by none other than our very own hype man Debo and our baby nerdling, Miss Mia. So you got to check it out. As I told you just a few moments ago, today we are talking about the one, the only, available for sponsorship, Booster Gold. Like I always say, if you want the full complete story, please read the comics. Please. It is a lot of information to put in over a half hour to an hour span of time. So I just tried to give you the origin story and the greatest hits. And Booster's got a few. So he's from the 25th century, and his name is Michael John Carter. He was born in 2442, and he was born to crime-ridden Gotham City of the future. He grew up with a life of poverty. Wasn't easy for him, especially being in, Gotham City, but it pushed him to pursue a better future for himself, and it got him involved in football. He earned a scholarship to Gotham University as their star quarterback and earned him the nickname Booster. The problem was, because he grew up so dirt poor, and I'm not saying everyone who grew up poor did this, I certainly didn't, but because he grew up so poor in such a rough area, and he was so determined to leave that life behind him and live a life of luxury and success, he started doing stuff that he really shouldn't have, and that was betting on his games. Not good, Mike, not good. Well, he gets caught and he loses his scholarship and he gets kicked out of Gotham University. That's gonna happen. His name became synonymous with a joke or like a curse word, like, oh, you totally pulled a booster. Oh, that dude's a total booster. What a booster. It wasn't easy for him to live with that at all. But he still had to make ends meet. You know, he wasn't gonna get his degree, wasn't gonna finish college, wasn't going to become a famous football player. So he saw his only other option was to get a job at the Space and Science Museum as a security guard. Yay! With his reputation in the garbage can and his ego seriously bruised, Booster spends his nights wandering around this museum, which also had a superhero section, and looking at the successes and exploits of famous superheroes and people. Bummer. It really sucked for him. Like it really stuck in his craw. It's all he could think about. And then every single night, here he is at the Space and Science Museum looking at all these things that belong to famous superheroes. Wouldn't it be famous? Red. He missed having people ask him for his picture and autograph. Well, you shouldn't have been betting and throwing game. Lesson learned, homie. Lesson learned. So one night, he's wandering, doing his patrol around the museum with his robotic security assistant, Skeets. They stumble upon a working Legionnaire ring from the Legion of Superheroes. Well, the Legion of Superheroes is like the Justice League of the future. So he finds this ring and realizes it works, and it gives him an idea. Because, it's common knowledge that the Legion could time travel. He was like, I'm thinking, yes. So he goes around and he finds the working time sphere from the Time Master Rip Hunter. I'm going to touch back on that later. Recognizing the opportunity to change his fate and go back in time and become this famous superhero. So he takes the Legionnaire ring, he takes Rip Hunter's time sphere. Well, he also grabs this force field generator that was used by Brainiac 5. Nice. That's got to be pretty high tech. He also grabs gloves, control bands, energy rods, and this very special flight suit that also gave him superpowers. He was trying to cover all the bases. Now I'm going to go back in time. I got to have the goods. So not only did the suit he grabbed grant him flight, but it also granted him super strength and energy projection. Also made him look super futuristic. And it also had these goggles that allowed him to see on multiple spectrums, including X-ray vision, infrared. Like, I think it had like 10 times zoom. I don't. Maybe it had 10 times digital zoom. I don't know. But they were really great. But the power suit also allowed him to disrupt things on a molecular level so he could burst things apart, bring them together, reshape them. So once old Mikey gets his super suit and super abilities together, he tells old Skeets, he's like, you know what? You have all the historical records from this museum, right? Like all the exploits that these superheroes accomplished, and you've got all the newspapers and crime blotters and everything from that time too, right? And Skeet's like, yeah, I don't think I like where you're going with this. And he's like, well, you are coming with me, because here's my idea. We will travel back to the 20th century, mid 20th century, and using all your super dope historical records, I can show up right when crimes are being committed, save the day, and boom, famous superhero. Yeah? Yeah, that's what he does. Him and Skeets get into the time sphere and they travel back to the mid 20th century, which is present day comic books. When he makes it to our time, he's like, no better way than to make a really, really big splash. So he actually saves the president from a bad guy, from a villain who went by the name Chiller. And the president actually awards him the Medal of Honor, which is crazy to me because civilians aren't supposed to be awarded the Medal of Honor. Trying not to read too much into it, but he shouldn't have been awarded. He should have been awarded the Medal of Freedom. That's the highest honor a civilian can be bestowed. Yeah, that's the truth. But somehow Booster Gold got the Medal of Honor for saving the president's life from Chile. While he is up at the podium with the president, and the president's like, "What's your name, son?" Booster's like, "Here it is. This is my moment. This is the moment where I get to finally announce myself to the world. The whole world will know me as," what he wanted to say was Gold Star. Sounds like you did a really good job, right? Gold Star. You get a gold star. You get a gold star. You get a gold star. Unfortunately, old Mike got a little bit tongue-tied and started to say his nickname, Booster, that he stops and he goes, "Booster, no, Gold." And the president's like, "Booster Gold," and announces him as Booster Gold. And everybody claps, and Booster's like, "There's that. I mean, I guess that's okay. At least it's different. It doesn't sound like anyone else during this time, so I'll take it. Okay." And henceforth, Michael John Carter was known as Booster Gold. Now remember, he came back to this time to make money. He started a business, very successful company, marketing, PR, called Gold Star Incorporated, and pushed it as often as he possibly could. His rescue of the president got him a lot of attention, just the attention that he was looking for. He got movie deals, merchandise deals. It was everything Booster wanted. His sister, Michelle, even follows him to the 20th century with her own super stuff and calls herself Gold Star, which Booster's like, that's the name I wanted. Typical sister. Am I right? Well, Michelle doesn't last too long. She's actually killed by interdimensional beings while fighting interdimensional beings. So that was very sad for Booster. Now, obviously, Booster's primary motivation was to seek out fame and fortune, unlike other superheroes who are in it for fighting justice. His initial goal was to gain endorsements, book deals, movie deals, video games, toys, t-shirts, all that good stuff. He eventually found himself a member of not just the Justice League, but Justice League International, which was an absolute dream come true for Booster. He really did feel fortunate because he thought, this is where I make my millions. This is where it all happens for me. Yeah. But also his sense of humor and his self-centered personality really made for some interesting dynamics with the team, to say the least. Oh, Booster. Due in part to some of those interesting dynamics with some of the other heroes, Booster left with the intention of growing his own brand. I've got to consider my brand. I mean, who hasn't been there? He did go on to form his own group called the Conglomerate with the intention of being competition for the Justice League. Like, that's okay. I am going to form my own team, and it's going to be even better, and I'm going to call it not a league, but a conglomerate. Yeah, that just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. After forming the conglomerate, he really thinks that this is it. This is his ticket. This is his ticket. This is going to do it finally. However, due to all their corporate sponsorships, those sponsors tended to interfere with their missions. Go figure. You go corporate, and the corporation gets all up in your face and starts telling you what to do. Yeah, I think we're all very familiar with that situation, especially these days. So he actually ends up leaving his own group that he formed. He leaves the conglomerate due to all the corporate interference, and he goes back to the Justice League. Like, how bad does it have to be that you leave your own group, your own team, and rejoin an old one? Pretty rough, man. Pretty rough. But he was so frustrated with the situation with the conglomerate, he just went back to the Justice League. Bye. Booster is actually the one who coined Doomsday. Yeah, it's a true story. He named Doomsday. It was right before Superman showed up, and Booster had fought him, and he's like, this isn't a bad day, this is a doomsday. So then Superman shows up, and he's like, I heard there was some trouble. And Booster's like, nah, it's been doomsday, man. And hence, he was called Doomsday. He actually lost his right arm while fighting the Devastator. That's sad. Losing a body part is never fun. But his BFF, Ted Korg, Blue Beetle, gave him a suit that not only acted like life support for Booster, but it also provided him with a super cool robotic arm. But he had to stay in it all the time. But it still looked cool. With his new robotic arm and suit, he joins the Captain Atom-led Extreme Justice team. Obviously, this is the 90s. Everything was extreme. This reminds me of my pawpaw. Extreme radio, that would make me not want to listen to that radio station. I love my pawpaw. While he's on this new team with Captain Atom, ends up making a deal with a villain known as the Monarch. No, not him. But isn't he great? God, I love the Venture Brothers. But he makes a deal with Monarch, and he actually heals him totally and replaces his arm, so he's actually able to come out of that life support suit. That's nice. I'd like to make a deal with the Monarch. Throw a new leg, that'd be neat. Many don't know that Booster has actually saved the multiverse a couple of times. Once as Supernova. Then in Blackest Night, he had to fight the zombie version of his best friend, Ted Korg. That was messed up. In the Flashpoint series, he went back and fought Doomsday. Like, he actually repelled Doomsday with those force fields he has. It's insane how powerful those force fields are. In the New 52, he was the leader of the JLI, Justice League International. So the reason why he was made leader of the JLI was because he was really good with PR. He had a very savvy PR sense. But Justice League International only lasted about 12 issues. That's not very long. He shows back up in Rebirth number 992, where Superman finds out that Mr. Oz is actually his dad, Jor-El, who somehow survived the explosion of Krypton. Somehow. Superman actually uses the cosmic treadmill, the one the Flash was stuck on. Well, Superman uses it. And he goes back in time to find out who is actually behind all this freaking weirdness. Like, everything is weird. Nothing is as it should be. And they know. So he goes back in time. Booster and Skeets show up right as Superman is going back in time to try and stop him. But they are literally 1 second too late. Like, oh, whoops. So there went that. Over time, Booster matures as a hero. He may be out seeking fame and fortune, but he really is a softie right where it counts. Like, he really does care. But it took some time to really get him there, to show that part of himself, to grow as a hero. He developed genuine friendships with other superheroes, particularly his best friend, Ted Korg. And he also started to prioritize doing good for the sake of it and not just for, seeking fame, recognition. Good for him. So we learn eventually that Rip Hunter is actually Booster Gold's son. Booster doesn't quite know, and there's reasons for that. So many reasons. Rip Hunter is a time traveler and a member of a group known as the Time Masters, who are tasked with keeping an eye on the proper flow of time. Even though Rip knows that Booster Gold is his father, he's absolutely committed to preserving his identity so that his family and loved ones and people he cares about don't get hurt. There could be bad guys out there wanting to make sure Rip Hunter is never born, and what better way to do that than taking out his parents? So he keeps it secret. Rip Hunter isn't even actually his name. I think it's Richard Carter. I'm not really that sure because I'm not that knowledgeable on Rip. Maybe I should do a breakdown on him. Maybe I should. As far as Booster knows, Rip is just kind of a guy he works with occasionally, and because Booster's from the future, he's kind of like his boss. Throughout their adventures, Booster had to make a lot of sacrifices and hard decisions to protect the timeline and the multiverse. His character evolved from a fame and fortune seeking D-bag to a true hero dedicated to preserving the fabric of time. But Rip actually is just integral to who Booster Gold is as a character. In fact, most of Rip's historical exploits were actually committed by Booster. To protect the timeline, Rip convinces Booster to turn down membership to the recently reformed Justice League and to continue to act like a self-absorbed douchebag to make sure that his father's legacy is one of failure and ultimately forgotten by history. It really sucks. But in order for things to work the way they're supposed to, that's what's got to happen. Makes you really feel for Booster, right? This is all done to ensure that rogue time travelers have no reason or excuse to go after Booster Gold, thus erasing Rip from time. And Rip's got a lot of stuff to do. Yeah. Rip and an older version of Booster, they would occasionally interact during the present version's mission as they discuss the need to manipulate Booster, in particular teaching him not to change history to bring his friend Ted Cord back to life. In Checkmate, a reference is made to the Smith-Baxter Group, a time-traveling consultancy whose founders were trained by Rip. In this version, Rip's intentions are much darker, but we're not really talking about Rip, so. Booster continues to be, to this day, an integral part of the DC universe. And honestly, his recognition as a DC character has been picking up more as of late. His story is a unique blend of ambition, humor, growth, and redemption, which is why I like him so much, because he's this lovable screw up that proves you can make mistakes and start off with the bad intentions, but everyone can be redeemed. It's a compelling narrative that showcases how a seemingly self-centered character can evolve over time into this genuine hero with a strong sense of responsibility. This transition is what makes Booster such an intriguing and endearing addition to DC Comics. He was known to showboat, he was super flashy, anything to get attention. But it's his relationship really with Ted Cord and later his discovery of and relationship with Jaime Reyes that really gets him to grow up. I especially love his relationship with Ted Cord. Their camaraderie and hilarious interactions became a hallmark of their time together in the Justice League. And while he started his time in the Justice League for personal gain, he gradually grows into his role as a superhero. So you still get all the funny antics, quips, showboating that you would expect from our favorite sparkly gold douche. Ted Cord's death really had a strong impact on Booster. It really showed us how deep their connection really was, how much their friendship really meant to Booster. And then meeting Jaime, he felt a strong sense of duty and responsibility to this kid to pass on Ted's legacy. And if you would like to hear more about how Booster discovered Jaime Reyes, the new Blue Beetle, during the Infinite Crisis story, definitely check out our Jaime Reyes breakdown. That was a fun one. I love me some Jaime. The Booster Gold fandom, like many fandoms across comic book fandoms, is diverse and passionate. Booster Gold was introduced into the DC continuity in 1986 after the Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline. The next year, he began to regularly appear in Justice League books. He was created by Dan Jurgens, in case you were wondering. But because he came out in 1986, there's some nostalgia to him, a bit of retro for some people. Many have discovered him in different iterations over the years. A lot of fans recently have discovered him through his adventures with Jaime Reyes. He had adventures with Ted Kord before that, but Jaime came out in 2006, and you got a bunch of new comic book readers around that time. So if you were someone who was just getting into comic books when Jaime Reyes came out, chances are you discovered Booster Gold through that as well. His fans love him for the underdog he is, and not just any underdog, but like a try-hard underdog. His glory-seeking, self-serving, goofy-ass ways are very attractive and endearing to a lot of people. It is to me, especially, as I've mentioned many times, the Blue and Gold series, which is Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. A lot of times when you're at a convention or at a cosplay event and you see a Booster Gold, chances are you're going to see a Blue Beetle or vice versa. They kind of go together. One has become pretty synonymous with the other. Like with many comic book characters, fans, they often not only engage in the cosplay, but fan art as well, thanks to his very distinctive persona and costume. Some of the fan art is pretty great. I love anything where he's covered in sponsorship, like was it his only live action appearance? I'm really not that sure, but he was on an episode of Smallville with Jaime Reyes, and it wasn't very good. They really chopped up Jaime's origin, but neither here nor there. But the guy who played Booster, pretty great, and his suit was actually even covered in sponsorship patches like a NASCAR driver. I really loved that. Overall, the Booster Gold fandom community is dedicated and enthusiastic, to say the least. They really celebrate Booster's unique qualities, his endearing appeal, and his journey from douchebag showboat to hero with a heart of gold. See what I did there? If you really want to learn more about Booster Gold, one, read his comic books. Please read them, especially the Blue and Gold series, the Blue Beetle Booster Gold series. I'm telling you, they're absolutely fantastic. If you would like to watch something that's going to tell you what you need to know about Booster, I highly recommend, I believe it's season 2 of the animated series Justice League International. I want to thank my sons, because if I had not had them, I may not have discovered Justice League International, and I still rewatch those to this day as a middle-aged woman. But I think it's season 2, episode 7, The Greatest Story Never Told. That is my favorite episode of Justice League and Justice League International combined. And he's also on Batman Brave and the Bold. That's another one that see, I'm just getting comfortable just hanging out with you guys. That's another one that I wouldn't have watched had I not had children. That one, really, really good series. Diedrich Bader does the voice of Batman, but Booster Gold's in that. And it literally will tell you everything you need to know about Booster Gold. It's a great episode. He's in a few, but the first one he's in, right on target. Well, guys, that's all I got for you today on Booster Gold. Super excited about the Booster Gold series that's eventually going to come out. I have been saying for years that DC should do a live action Booster Gold series because it pretty much writes itself. A douchebag loser from the future goes back in time to become a superhero so he can become rich and famous. That it just writes itself. I mean, and the fact that you have comic book after comic book, I mean, it's already storyboarded for you too, so idiot proof. The show will hopefully be wonderful. Who's my fan cast for Booster Gold? Glenn Powell. Please, Glenn Powell, make my dreams come true. Be Booster Gold for me. Michael John Carter, please. I'll give you all the hugs and kisses. Do that. That's creepy. No, everyone tell Glenn Powell. I had been saying for years that we need a Booster Gold series. And then James Gunn announced it. I was like, get out of my head, James Gunn. Get out of my head. If you had no idea who Booster Gold was before this video, I hope I have sparked some interest in you because his books really are great. They're funny. He is so sarcastic. He has a biting sense of humor. Lots of one-liners. If you like quippy, lots of action, Skeets, he has a robot sidekick named Skeets. Come on. How could you not love that? And Skeets is always giving him crap. Like, he's always giving him the business. Before you go, please hit the like button, sacrifice the subscribe to our algorithm overlords, and make sure that you have rang that bell so you get notified when I drop new videos. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the description below, as well as a list of all the products that I used today. Until then, nerdlings, I hope you have a wizard weekend, and I will see you in the next one. Stay nerdy, babies. Bye.